He's just trying to win the next test match. That's all he's doing. He's focusing on this week. Your coach should have a long-term plan.
If the captain-coach combination is not right, the communication will be misled to the team.
It should never be the coach's team.
It's difficult, for me to get my head around, the captains and the coaches, combination.
Right, back on Kent Extra Innings, even as we get ready to discuss this coach-captain scenario with our stellar panel in the box. News coming in from the head of the ACC, Mohsin Naqvi, saying, "I'm delighted to confirm the dates for the ACC Men's Asia Cup 2025 in UAE. It will take place from the 9th of September to the 28th of September. Detailed schedule will be out soon." And you can watch that tournament on Sony Sports Networks and on the Sony Live app. That's September 9 to September 28, the Asia Cup. Okay, let's talk about captains and coaches. And the reason we're going to talk about that is there's a young captain bringing a side out, first time as captain of India, on a very difficult assignment, 5 test matches in England, along with a coach who's seen a lot of cricket, who's been coach for a while, is quite a strong personality himself. How does that work? It's often said that it's the captain's team, but Nasser, you had Duncan Fletcher as your coach. You are a pretty strong personality yourself. Is it easy to say it should be a captain's team, or if it's a young captain, can it lapse easily into becoming the coach's team?
It should never be the coach's team. I'm still very much old school.
I was just wondering, can that happen?
I don't care. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
However young you are, the reason you're given the job is because someone sees, and I'm not talking about Shubman Gill, this is a general point. You're given that job because someone sees something in you that you're a leader. And if you're a leader, you lead. That's your job. However old you are, however many test matches, Graham Smith, when he first came to England, hadn't played many test matches, you could immediately see he was a leader. Michael Vaughan, when I finished white ball cricket, and I handed over to Vaughan in white ball cricket, I was watching at home, and there was a game at Edgbaston when Simon Jones threw the ball at Matthew Hayden, and the whole of the England team, a little bit like the incident at Lord's the other day, the whole of the England team went at Matthew Hayden, and Vaughan was in charge. You knew immediately Vaughan was in charge of that team. And that's what led me to resign a couple of weeks later at Edgbaston after the first test match, because it had become Vaughan's team. Great leaders just have this personality and aura about, and that's why you're given the job. If you think of Ganguly and the way he transformed Indian cricket, or Dhoni or whatever, they have a presence and an aura. I am very much old school, that your captain is in charge and your coach does all the hard work behind the scenes to help you drive a side forward.
I mean, India have had young captains in the past. Tiger Pataudi was made captain in only his 3rd test match. And if you look at the others as well, I think Virat Kohli had played a similar number of test matches when he became captain too. But how easy, how difficult would it be for someone like a Shubman Gill to walk up to maybe a Gautam Gambhir or the other coaching staff and say, "Gentlemen, my team"?
Look, I mean, we didn't have coaches. So we just had, former players as managers or assistant managers of the team. And they sort of, they were not coaches, but they were the kind of people you actually went up to and talked, and they would give you some advice at lunchtime or at the end of the day's play, or on the eve of the game. So it's difficult for me to get my head around the captains and the coaches combination. When I was captain, we had nobody who was a former player. To be honest, I had Wing Commander Durrani once, and I had Raj Singh Dungarpur. The only time was Irapalli Prasanna, and he was brilliant. So the point is that at the end of the day, like Nasser said, it is the captain's team. You can't say that he didn't want somebody like maybe in Shardul Thakur's case or Kuldeep Yadav's case, that he didn't want them to be. I mean, maybe Shubman didn't want Shardul in the team and wanted Kuldeep in the team. He should have had them in the team. He is the captain. He's going to be. I mean, people are going to talk about him and his captaincy out there. So it's got to be his call, really. And I know, for the sake of showing everything is hunky dory, that these things might not come out. Fact is that the captain is the one who is responsible for the team. He's the one who's going to be leading those 11 players. Simple as that.
I've heard it said by many captains that you can seek opinion, but eventually you have to be your own person, because the wins and losses always go against your name. So it's your team as captain. There's a bit of rebuilding for you as well, Michael. Does it help if the captain and coach are similar personalities? Does it matter if they are very different? I mean, I remember talking to Brendan once when he was in India, and he said, if you think I'm aggressive, he said, you haven't met Ben Stokes yet. So the similar personalities, Ganguly and Wright was different personalities. Does that make a difference?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I don't think you need to be similar, and I think it can work if you're not similar. You know, there's been some great combinations, a bit of chalk and cheese, but I think England have got a combination that you have got two similar characters. You know, you look at Pat Cummins and Andrew McDonald, I wouldn't say they're completely similar, but they operate well. I think you've got to be very careful of judging a young captain too soon. I remember taking over from Nas, I reckon it was a year or so before I really started to feel like I was the captain.
A year?
Oh, honestly, I captained against South Africa. I think we went to Bangladesh and maybe Sri Lanka. And to get confidence in me as a captain, it took me games, it took decisions. And that's what a young captain needs, is a bit of time. But that combination with the coach is so crucial, the communication. So whatever you discuss as a captain and a coach, and it's the most important combination of all the teams. You can talk about an opening batting pair, an opening bowling pair. If the captain-coach combination is not right, the communication will be misled to the team. And I used to always have a very simple procedure with Duncan. We'd go and chat, you know, whatever we discussed in a private conversation. And at times we didn't agree on things, but once we spoke to the team, we agreed. So the team never felt that me and Duncan were falling out or disagreeing with something. And he would always go with me. When it became a decision on a player and I was going, I like this player, he would kind of discuss it and kind of give me options and say, are you sure? And I said, I think this is the right way to go. He would always back my decision. It was never...
Whether or not he agreed with it?
Never, ever did he go against it. I was the captain, and he was a big... Tuesday, Wednesday were coaches' days. Tuesday, Wednesday, the coach prepares the team, and he, you know, would create brilliant angles. You know, Mackay and Sony, he was the first coach that came to me, bat outside off to nullify that angle. He went outside off, oh, thank you very much, coach. That's what he was there to do. As soon as Thursday came, and I walked down the stairs to toss up, probably the same with Nas, it was our team. He was always there for a guiding hand and a conversation at lunch. You know, did you think about this? Or brilliant conversation. But when it was match time, it's over to you, skipper. And
a coach is in charge of long-term planning as well. Yeah. When you're in the job, you know, Shubman Gill's not down there thinking of what this Indian team, and it's going through a rejig with the great players that have left it. You're not thinking, what's this team going to look like in 3-4? He's just trying to win the next test match. That's all he's doing. He's focusing on this week. Your coach should have a long-term plan. That's what I found with Duncan. You know, I was just there was a famous game at Lords where I looked up at the honours board and there was a load of swing bowlers that get wickets there. So there was a lad called Ed Giddins that I wanted because he was a genuine swing bowler. And Duncan went, no, he might bowl well here, but around the world, I want pace, and I want Steve Harmison, who was spraying it everywhere. I want Simon Jones, who was spraying it everywhere. And I wanted to win that game, so I picked Giddins, and Giddins got Pfeiffer. And I was like, I'm right. We went to Edgbaston the next game, and it didn't swing, and Giddins was completely, you know, just couldn't get a wicket. And Duncan went, you were right on that one occasion, but long-term, just learn, we need pace in our attack. He introduced Harmison, he introduced Flintoff, he introduced Simon Jones, Michael Vaughan's 2005 side, there you go. They were then ready for that famous 2005 Ashes series. So that's long-term planning, I think, comes from behind-the-scenes coach.
Fourth Test, live now. Watch it on TV channels of Sony Sports.